seen so many people say it was so much better than the original. It put the original to shame. It was so much more serious. It was had more of a message than the original.
Well, yeah, okay.
Had more of a message than this one did.
Okay, no. If you want to say this one has more of a message, yeah, sure, it does. But now, I will go into that and explain what I mean. It's a shit message. I mean, you got to think. I sat here last night and honestly, I watched it for free on the internet, and I feel ripped off. I want my money back. That's 2 hours of my life I will never have back, and I regret it. The whole half, about half to 3/4 of the movie was basically a political movie where Sam Jackson's character's on there talking about Americans are robophobes and we need robots in America, and it's this big congressional hearing over should robots be in America because they're in Europe, they're in Japan, they're in all these other nations. That's basically what the movie's about.
Do you know what that really was about?
Well, I've heard that Sam Jackson's character was a spoof off of a right-wing media persona, kind of like Rush Limbaugh or somebody like that.
Okay. Change robot to immigrant.
Yeah.
Now, okay. Does it make more sense?
It does. It makes a lot more sense. It's very much so, and I got that from the story. I mean, it was like today's politics set in a futuristic sci-fi environment. It was...
okay. The problem I have is the original Robocop was Paul Verhoeven making a statement on the society of the time.
It was a satirical story, yeah.
I mean, think about it. He's 6,000 US. He was talking about the rampant obsession with consumer products, and I mean, it was omni-consumer products, and how technology has the solution to everything, and humanity doesn't. It was a cry for humanity to be put forth along with the technology. Don't let technology overtake humanity. That was the message, and it was a brilliant message. Don't let your society be swallowed up with the shallow.
Okay, now, you know what they did in this movie to try to bring that out, but it failed miserably. The whole story, like I said, was talking about bringing robots as police force and military aid to the United States. Okay. What they did was the American people didn't want robots, things that were lifeless, emotionless, because they showed video of them just blowing people away. No blood, mind you. Spoilers, no blood. The only time you saw blood in the movie is at the very end, and it was very small. Anyway, so Michael Keaton's character comes up with this idea, well, let's put a man in a machine. Well, they did that, and it turns out that, of course, Murphy's personality was overriding the system, and he was making decisions and judgment calls, and they didn't like that, so they took his persona away and made him a robot. And then they tried to market him to the American people to get this congressional bill passed, and when it did, they started bringing in the Ed 209s and shit, and it just was a whole can of worms. The whole movie sucked. It was just like, it was nothing like the first one. It was totally, totally awful compared to the first one.
That's the point. This was a new Robocop for a new generation.
I'm serious, man. Sometime you're gonna have to come over here. We're gonna get on Skype with Michael and Sean, and we're all gonna watch this piece of shit, and we're gonna review it in depth because it was terrible.
Especially me. I was a big Robocop fan. I still am.
Well, then you won't like this movie.
I didn't think I would.
Robocop is one of those films that is, number one, it's timeless, but number two, it was made, I mean, the message still rings clear.